That's a Scott's knot. It's a cold formed link that can be used in chains or others, another jewelry components, made out of anything copper, a soft wire. It's got to be soft. It can be copper or sterling silver or gold. Someday maybe gold. So far just copper, sterling, brass, that sort of thing. It's nice, symmetrical, very, very sturdy link. And I take off my chain. I've been wearing this guy for several months. It's starting to look very good, as sterling tends to do. This is a chain made out of Scott's knots in 14 gauge sterling silver. That's what 14 gauge looks like beforehand. We form that into the knot and make that in any range of gauges all the way down to, I've got another one on my wrist, down to 26 gauge. That's what this is, 26 gauge. It's, oops, I can see there's a little snag on it. Don't like that. 26 gauge, very delicate, nice action chain. And this is what the 26 gauge wire looks like. That's what we're going to show you how to make today, is Scott's knots that can be anywhere from 26 gauge delicate chain to a really nice massive thing like this one made out of 14 gauge. I'm going to go through a step-by-step process of creating one of my knots. I don't really think of it in terms of step-by-step, so they're relatively arbitrary, but a good place to get started. The ideal is for it to be a continuous flow so that you can get in the zone, make it more of a meditation. So we'll start out by making the foundation. This is the foundation. This is made out of copper, so you can see it real well. It's 14 gauge, and the parts of the eye we'll do step by step. First we'll form the primary or first leg, right there. That's the first leg. The length of it is determines the number of wraps, and we measure that with the chain nose plier registration marks. So anyway, we'll form the first leg, bending an elbow, and then making the first eye, coming up to a second elbow, and the cheeks on the other side, we call them cheeks, and then that forms the second leg, a third elbow, the second eye, the transition eye we call it, and leaving the tailpiece. And that's the foundation, step by step. Then we'll mount it on the chain and complete the wrap. So today we're working with 16 gauge sterling, and we're working on the fourth registration mark on our chain nose pliers. Pull in 90 degrees and then squeeze back the tail piece to make a crisp about 110 degree angle, like so. Now we take the needle nose pliers and we're working on the 5th gauge mark and slide it right up so that the pliers make good contact with both the tail piece and the leg that we just bent, and we grip the wire there and start forming the first eye right around the round nose pliers, and you pull it past one revolution just a little bit. Then grab a hold also with the same pliers right up at the top, just slightly away from the first leg, so there's space for the second leg to come down. And you pull that way past where it ends up needing to be. Crisps up the eye. And I try to form in my mind's eye a radius from the center of the first eye down between the cheeks, and that's where I want to pull the tailpiece down parallel to that line. And then be sure that the legs are squeezed nice and tightly together. I need to close that up just a touch. And then grab both legs right at the bottom of the, or the beginning of the first leg, and pull that same, ending up with a 110-degree angle. Okay, that forms the second leg. And we take our needle nose pliers to the 5th gauge mark, snug it up right in the elbow, form the transition eye, bring it around slightly more than 1 revolution. We can try and line it up so that the radius from both eyes is parallel to the crotch between the 2 legs. Now grab a hold of the tail piece just on the other side of the legs, right up next to the other side, and then you try and line the tail piece up right in the elbow and give it a little kink, and that's where we'll start the wrap. Then we open up both eyes a little bit so we can mount it on the chain, and I always like to add the chain to the same side. There's a transition side to the knot, and then the other side of the transition side, that's the side I like to add to, just for consistency. Then we close the first eye, close the second eye, and grab it right up next to the first leg, and start the wrap right in the elbow. I'm going to keep that perpendicular to the crotch, both legs, and then we close the eye just a little bit. And grab a hold of the second eye, transition eye, and continue that wrap nice and tight, perpendicular to both legs. And the length determined that we'll have 3 full wraps, starting on a 4th wrap on the other side. Cut it off nice angle, like so. And grab a hold of the transition eye with a flat nose. Crimp down that tail piece. You see that tail piece just covers the cheeks, so it's nice and even. Stack looks pretty good. Tighten it up on the side a bit, and there's a new link.